For a while now, I've wanted to make a video talking about Total War Warhammer 3, but the idea I had in my mind would have been me going over every single minor adjustment I'd want to make to every character and every faction, which would easily be a multi-hour video, and I didn't really want to subject anyone to that. I also am trying to make a list video every month, and didn't have any ideas I was happy with for this month, and that's when inspiration hit. I'll just smash those two ideas together so that I can stop having this Warhammer video clogging up space in my brain, and I can get the list video for the month done and relieve some pressure there too. And with that all said, let's go over 7 changes I want to make to Total War Warhammer 3. First on the list, make it so that there's a minimum of 4 legendary lords for every single race in the game. Now most of the races already have this, take a look at like Skaven and the Empire, you got plenty of choices there, it's all good. And the DLC are working towards this for, at the very least, the Total War Warhammer 3 races, and hopefully a few of the other ones which got left behind. The big concern I have when it comes to which faction kind of isn't going to get this is the Demons of Chaos. Now the current Demon of Chaos Lord is this very customizable guy, which I do like. It's a very interesting one. It doesn't have any of the like backstory, well, it does have backstory, it has backstory within the game. It's one they've created, very customizable, I kinda like it. The skill tree sucks with that character, just gonna say that, I kinda want that redesigned as well, but that's a minor thing. And yeah, the fact they've only got him in there, and they put Be'lakor on Warriors of Chaos is madness. Be'lakor is like the one famous, unique, known, undivided Demon of Chaos. And they did not put him in the Demons of Chaos section. They put him in Warriors of Chaos. That is mental. That makes no sense whatsoever. Move Be'lakor over to Demons of Chaos, where he should be, just flat out should be in there, and then add in at least a couple of undivided demons who are more of your traditional lords, rather than the custom Demon Prince sort of thing. Now, I'm not sure of any, like, named, known, undivided demons. I did a bit of googling for this, trying to jog my memory, but no, I couldn't find any out there. But that's not an issue, because they can make up a couple of ones. I'm fine with that. You could make ones from different factions. So maybe you have one who was like a Bretonnian knight, and she didn't feel she had a place within the Knights of Bretonnia themselves, ended up going to Chaos because power, 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 aren't I great at writing backstories, and maybe her and a horse kind of got fused together and you get like the centaur style of demon, and that would be one of the lords. Maybe it adds like speed and charge bonus to the army it leads. That'd be kind of cool. Maybe one from Cathay who's got more of a draconic appearance. Could buff like large units within the army and stuff like that, and be a real kind of freaky, disgusting, crazy looking dragon demon hybrid thing. I'd be super down for that. I think there's definitely ways to make it work with Demons of Chaos, and with every other faction, pushing up to 4 legendary lords per race should not be that difficult. Point number 2 is in the same vein, which is a legendary hero for every race/faction. So these have been getting introduced more and more and more. We just had, not Gotrek and Felix, we've had Gotrek and Felix for a while, we had Ulrika added, we had the Slayer whose name I can't remember, it wasn't Snorri, I was surprised it wasn't Snorri. We've had like lots of heroes coming up, we're having Karnak? I'm gonna double check the name right now. Where is it? It's Karanak. Karanak? I've only ever seen these wrote down, it's very difficult, but the Demon Hound of Khorne, that's coming as a new legendary hero. It does seem like Creative Assembly are wanting to add in legendary heroes, but there still are some races which just do not have them, and I want every single character you play as to have the opportunity to summon a legendary hero. I think first on the list that needs to be added is Graysir Thankwolf of the Skaven, because, come on, we've got Gotrek, Felix, Ulrika, we just had Malachi added in as well. Why is Thankwol not here? Thankwol needs to be here. And the Skaven, I mean, Clan Moulder, they have a legendary hero, but I'm pretty sure none of the others do. So yeah, Skaven definitely need one. Dwarves do already have legendary heroes, but I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Joseph Bugman, who I'd like to see. For things like the High Elves, you could have Caradrian. Man, I really don't know how these names are pronounced, I've never heard them out loud. He's the captain of the Phoenix Guard, that'd be a solid one to add in. And the Dark Elves could have their counterpart, the captain of the Haganeth Executioners, who's Talaris the Redbringer. That way you get like a bit of symmetry with the High Elves and the Dark Elves. The Ogres have Jared the Red, who's the Red Third Hunter. Could be really good for supporting the Beast units, which I find are a bit weak in Ogres. I mean, Ogres are going to need like a complete rework, but hopefully that's coming in the next DLC. Like, there's definitely options, this gets a lot more fun characters in, My last point was like, oh, make some new characters, but for this one, there are so many great legendary heroes already within the world of Warhammer that could be added in, and I'd just love to see every single race, every single faction, have an option to have a legendary hero supporting them. But on top of individual characters, I also want an entirely new playable faction. I want Halflings. We've already got the Moot, there's already references to Halflings, we had Chaos Dwarves, which had only been around in Warhammer like ages ago and then were kind of forgotten, and it's a similar, I can't say similar, why can I not say similar? Halflings, I'd like to have them please. I think it'd be quite cool. They could have food mechanics similar to like the Ogres or the Skaven, because they've already got food mechanics, but maybe make it even more powerful, because Halflings are probably going to need help in campaign mechanics. As a faction, I think they should overall rely on getting like buffed, like lots of temporary food buffs, stealth, because they are known to be quite stealthy, and diplomacy. I feel like none of the factions are super diplomacy focused. We've got like High Elves getting the trade agreements and Cathay wanting to do caravans and stuff. There's definitely some which lean a little bit more that way, but I think if Halflings were like maybe extra good in alliances, maybe they gain bonus allegiance, they get buffs when they're in a certain number of military alliances, and get like cheaper army request costs, because the army request is a cool feature which I never use, because it's real expensive. You can either get a crappy army for nothing, or not a good army. But yeah, I think that'd be kind of fun if they were more of a diplomatic faction. They would also obviously need to be able to hold their own a bit, and I feel like they've got like good skirmish units. I think skirmish cavalry would be quite a big thing for them. Bad staying power overall, but I know they've got a reputation for within their own land really fighting tooth and nail, so maybe some buffs when they're in friendly territory to make them a bit tougher and harder to remove. It'd just be fun to have Halflings in the game. Halflings aren't the only faction I want though, as point number 4 is Dogs of War. We've already got the rogue armies in the game, the ones which have a lord and then a mix of units from different races and different factions. I honestly would like to have that same sort of thing, but player character controlled. So we can control an army which has like lizard men and Bretonnian knights and Cathay and gunners, like a bit of a mix-up of things. Maybe you could have different lords who have different access to rosters and regiments from across the different things. So maybe there's an orc mercenary guy who has access to like ogres, orcs, maybe chaos dwarves, some kind of neutral to evil sort of ones. I mean, you get someone from the Empire who's got access to all the different human things. We already see this with the rogue armies. I just like them to be playable, especially because I think they could give a very different experience than any of the other races, without CA having to add in too much extra stuff. If the units we're getting access to are stuff that already exists, great, they just have to make lords and maybe a hero or two. Pretty easy overall. And while speaking of a different way to play, I want changes to victory conditions. Because right now, they're not great. Long victory campaigns in particular feel like a lot of generic busy work. Just attacking settlements, controlling provinces, it just gets tiring after a while. I'd much rather have it where all of these got reworked to fit their individual lords better. Because we do see a bit of this with newer characters. Like Malachi, one of his objectives is to do his adventures. That makes sense. Maybe Fulgrim could have a condition that he needs to like clear out the Book of Grudges, or have like a certain number of times where he does really good on the new grudge scale sort of thing. I'd much rather have victory conditions which feel different for each character, rather than the standard, oh, you've got to sack like 75 settlements and control 10 provinces. It's just boring, and it's stuff you do anyway a lot of the time, but it doesn't give you any focus or any real goal. I'd much rather have the victory conditions be tailored to characters so that campaigns start feeling different. Point number 6 is I want them to add Chaos Realms into Immortal Empires. The Chaos Realms are a really fun element that's now mostly just unused, as the majority of players play Immortal Empires rather than Realm of Chaos. I didn't super enjoy Realm of Chaos because it's got like a timer on it and it's a bit more limited, you don't have access to as many factions, but the one thing I really did love about it were the Chaos Realms, which were fun to go into, explore, do a big survival battle. Survival battles, I'd love to see them in there a bit more, could all be great. Now my idea for adding this in is just any area which has a particularly high corruption for the specific god has that Realm of Chaos have a chance to potentially open up in it. It's nice and simple and straightforward, but I figure it's already in the game, let's throw it into Immortal Empires and just make things a little bit more crazy. I'd be down for it. And the final point on this list, and one which I feel some people will instinctively be like, no, don't do it, but then it is actually quite a sensible thing to do, is some power rebalancing whenever DLCs come out. Because when new DLCs release, the new lords that show up tend to just be incredibly powerful, the new units tend to be powerful. I know in a lot of tournaments and stuff, like the land ship for the Empire is just outright banned, because it's like, yeah, that's been made too good. And I'd say, from a single player perspective, Malachi Makaisen currently feels like the strongest lord in the game by a mile, because he's got a freaking airship and starts with 2 legendary heroes. Just crazy strong. And it's pretty much every single time a new DLC releases, we get a bit of power creep, the new characters are stronger, and therefore the old characters get weaker. And I want to ensure that old factions and lords don't become kind of just useless. This is very important that it keeps happening like from DLC to DLC, where you buff some of the older stuff so we don't get a Norsca situation where they suck now, and fortunately I think they're one of the ones being covered in the next DLC, right? Khorne, Norsca and Ogre Kingdoms, if I'm recalling correctly. So yeah, hopefully that won't be an issue for long, but they need to just keep kind of making sure to rebalance things. We don't need it to be everything at an equal power level. I actually think that'd be kind of bad if every lord was as difficult or as easy as every other lord, but I just want there to not be a huge disparity between the weakest lord and the strongest lord. Because you don't want it to be ridiculously different. You want a bit of difference in there, so some campaigns are harder, some campaigns are easier, but overall you don't want a single lord to feel completely worthless and kind of boring to play because they suck so much, while another one is just so overpowered that it doesn't really matter. You want to get a balance in there. It's very important to keep doing this, and I think it's most important that once we've got the final DLC, once all of the coverage is done, that CA just does a big kind of rebalance, just tweaking a lot of things to make it so that we don't have any completely broken units and nothing that's completely worthless. Like a big rebalance at the very end of the game's life would be perfect and keep it playable and fun for years and years to come. And there we have it, 7 points and 7 little changes I want to make to Total War Warhammer 3. Thank you to anyone who's decided to stick through my rambling on this. It was kind of fun and it's got it out of my brain because for a couple of months now this is all I've been thinking about. And I think this is a much better format than me doing a multi-hour video going over every single character. But hey, let me know your own thoughts in the comments below, leave a like if you fancy, subscribe for more role-playing game content, and as always, thanks for watching. Sarge out.